Now we're rolling. Damage Plan MMA podcast. I'm Jason. As always, my co-host, Mr. Zack Partridge, the voice of in Utah. How you doing, sir?
What up, dog?
Got another Fighter Spotlight podcast. I love doing these Fighter Spotlight podcasts. Welcoming back my boy, Aleko Poinar. What's up, Aleko?
Hey, just hanging out in between training sessions. Glad I get to talk to you guys, build up the fight a little bit for next week, but glad to get to talk to you.
Build it up by talking some smack, Aleko. Go.
Talk some smack.
Me,
we just had
you. That's my style, man.
We just had your opponent on. He said he's going to smash.
Oh, good luck with that.
No, he didn't say that. I'm just talking trash.
Oh,
How's training camp? How's training camp going, Aleko?
This training camp has been fantastic so far. I mean, I've pushed crazy hard. I've got crazy opportunities to train with high level people. I traveled to a different country for part of my training camp, getting coached by some of the best people in the world and have the best training partners in the world. So I really can't complain. Everything's been good. We're pushing hard through this week. Then we'll start to taper next week. But everything's going great. Body feels good. Weight feels good. So I'm excited to get to compete next week.
Yeah, we talked with your opponent about it, but just talk a little bit about the confidence that it builds. Trevor, he trains with there's some UFC guys in the room that he trains with. We all know Extreme Couture has a ton of UFC guys out there. What's it like for your confidence constantly getting in work with that level of guys?
It's like, I don't know. It shows me where I'm at. Like a training session is just training. You can't be like, oh, something's going to happen in a fight because I trained with this guy. But it definitely is a good marker getting to like go with those people and be like, okay, I can run with them at least. And then, it was last August, so not even just this training camp, but last August, I was contacted by Brandon Moreno and started training with him, in a small group private setting for the past 5 or 6 months, especially this past training camp, and getting to go with him every single day. It's like, I know what the top level is, and I know that I can run with that level. And it's like, it's definitely a huge confidence booster. I have to go out and perform and showcase all of that. And I'm excited to do that. And I want my actions to speak louder than my words with that. But it's like, I get to move around. I got to move around with the best guy in the world in my weight class multiple times a week, multiple times a day, for months. It's like, it's definitely a confidence booster. And he helped me a ton too with any holes I had. He definitely helped fill them. So it was definitely a blessing. And it's like I said, I know who I can run with, whether, it's training or whatever. So definitely a confidence booster, I'd say.
Since you've been working with him so much, what's it like fight week for him now? You've been training with him. You're invested in his camp, right? Too. You guys are working for each other's camps, but he's got a UFC world champ defending his title Saturday. Yeah. What's that
Dude,
like?
And it's like, I've got to work with a lot of high level people since being here. I was part of Joe B's camp for his world title fights, but it's a little bit different now. Brandon being the champion and his backstory and stuff. It's like, and Brandon, he's such like a genuine good guy. When you're at his level and you bring people into your camp, it's usually just to beat them up and be like, all right, see you tomorrow. And it's like, that's not the case with Brandon. Like, he brought me in to work with me, and like, he definitely was there to help me, and his whole team was there to help me and hone me in. So it's like, I care about that dude as like a person, not just like a fighter or training partner. Like, Brandon's my friend. So like, obviously anytime my friends get ready in a fight week and stuff, it's pretty nerve wracking. And it's like, I want to be in there for him and be there for him. But it's just like, I've seen what he's done. I'm confident in what he's going to do, come next Saturday. And Cody Stanman's the first fight on the main card too. So it's like, I'm sure Saturday, when Saturday comes around, my nerves are going to be all over the place for him, but I'm confident in both those guys and how they're going to perform. And just getting to be in and see that, like, even if I didn't get to train with them, getting to see like what a world title training camp is when you're the defending champion. Like, I know what it takes now. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a question in my head. I know what it takes. And being able to actually train with him during those times, it's like, I know what it takes now. And I've seen like what he puts in, like his work that he puts in. And it's like, I know it's going to pay off on Saturday for him, but obviously it's a little nerve wracking for, a training partner or friend when anybody gets to go in there and compete, but I'm confident in what he's going to do. Same with Cody.
We just talked about it on our podcast. I promise we'll get back to your fight. We're here for you.
No, it's cool. It's cool, man.
But we just talked about it. I'm actually, so there's not a ton of buzz around this card because on the heavyweight title fight, it's mostly about is Francis coming or leaving the UFC, right? Yeah. It's not really about the fight. And then, like, I don't feel like there's as much buzz around the Moreno Figgy fight because for me personally, I'm like, I want to see Moreno fight somebody else because I felt like he pretty much beat him in the first one. It was close, but then he kind of mopped him in the second one. So I'm like, I don't even get why Figgy's getting the run back. Like, I don't know. I don't know where Figgy can make up the holes besides just landing a big punch, maybe. You know what I mean?
Right. And it's like he's obviously skilled, or he wouldn't have beat the people that got him to the belt.
Oh, he's great. He's great.
So he's obviously good, but I think there was like injuries and stuff in the flyweight division that was kind of holding it up. And Brandon wanted to compete, so that was basically the next in line. And it's like, give him the benefit of the doubt. You know, Figueiredo did defend the title 2 weeks after he fought and stuff. So it's like, okay, they're giving him another shot or whatever. And it's like, okay, like they can obviously build the fight now that he's training with Cejudo and all that stuff. So they can try and sell it, even though I don't think the UFC did a lot to try and sell that fight. But it's like you said, like there were some injuries and stuff with the people below him, below Figueiredo.
That makes
sense.
I
think that when Brandon wanted to compete, he didn't want to wait until like summer to fight again. So they're just doing it now. They're running it back now.
All right, that makes a
and I'm with you though. Like them sticking.
You're my insider now, Aleko.
Yeah, I know. I can give you some information now that it's fight week, but not too much. But I feel like the UFC could have done better and put them as a main event of a different card because they can sell Brandon like crazy with his background.
I think so too.
Being from Mexico, but anytime you have the UFC heavyweight championship on the card, that's going to get the spotlight. But I'm sure, like as far as the fight goes, like the performance is going to be crazy. So it'll be worth the price to watch it or stream it.
I mean, I can't think of a more likable champion in the past than Brandon Moreno.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like I said, I've got to meet a lot of people out here, but he's literally so nice. Like nicest per like goes out of his way for people, goes out of his way for me just for little things and stuff like that. And he's the world champion. Like the dude's busy the entire day every day. And he still makes time for people like that. But I will say, like when you touch gloves and it's time to go, it's like the dude can flip the switch. Trust me, he can flip the switch when it's time to go.
That we've seen.
Yeah. That's real. That's very real.
So Aleko,
yeah,
I was going to say, circling back to you, because you got a fight coming up here in a week and a half, 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks now, January 29th. Circling back to your fight, after your last fight back in June of last year, obviously things didn't go your way. What changes have you made since that last fight? Where do you feel that you've gotten better at since that last fight?
I think that my entire game as a whole is completely different. I think that if I fought me from June, I would win easily. And I think that after my fight, after my fight, I had people pick me up afterwards and tell me, obviously, that I would bounce back and all that stuff. You guys were a huge like morale booster. My core group of people that know me are like, you're going to turn this around and make it bigger than ever. And like, obviously it was hard, but I just had to accept what happened. And like, it's just a competition. Like it happened, whatever, I lost, I'm going to bounce back from it. It's never going to happen again. Obviously I was, asking for some signs on what to do with my training and what I needed to change around and all that stuff. And shortly after that, Brandon Moreno hit me up and I was like, okay, well, I'll take my sign. And it's like, as far as my fundamentals go, my fundamentals in my game are light years from where they were before. And I think they were pretty decent back in June too. So I think my fundamentals are a lot harder. And I've also got to spend a lot more time than I have before training with Jake Shields. And that's just like, it was kind of mind blowing how that started working. Once I started working with Brandon, it was like, I was with him in the morning. And then at night I was training with Jake Shields on my grappling. And it's like between those two guys, I'm going to be, ready to go on all levels and take the fight wherever it goes. And it's just like me as a whole, I'd say is completely different. And just like addressing a lot of things, like, I don't know, a lot of small things need to be addressed and they got addressed. And that's like I told you guys the night of the fight, it's never going to happen again. So.
Well, and I think I shared this with you. That night was hard. So you and another one of my really good friends both lost on that steel fist card. And two people that I think the world of, and I think have the potential to fight at the highest levels, to do it. But the one thing about MMA is, unless your name's Khabib and a very handful of others, most of those guys get into the UFC with a loss or two. And you look at them and it's like, how did they lose? Like, how did that guy lose to somebody?
Right.
Like go look. Well, before Saturday night, like Giga had just run through everybody in the UFC, right? 7-0 in the UFC. And it was like, who beat that guy on like a regional show somewhere?
Right.
but they all have it. It's the guys that get there are the ones that bounce back. And then as if I gotten into the matchmaking world and stuff, I look and I'll see these guys that are like, they were 4-0 and lost, and now they've been off for 3 or 4 years. Like some guys just can't figure out how to get past that. And you, others, I think that's how you find whether, you either decide to fill those holes and get back to work, or some people just decide to check out and say, this isn't for me.
I think like, obviously I have to go compete next weekend and make it worth it and like prove all that stuff. But I think a big part of it is I've been a competitor since I was 6. Like that was my first real loss in MMA, but like I've competed since I was 6 years old. I've lost before. And I know that if I would have called it a lucky shot, or if I would have called it whatever I wanted to call it, besides take accountability from it for myself, then I wouldn't have been able to grow from it. Then I probably wouldn't have got the opportunities that I've gotten the past 6 to 7 months with training. But I had to take accountability for myself for what happened in there. And that's how I was able to grow from it with my training, and with how I'm pretty confident moving into next weekend, how it's going to go. And it's like, I think taking accountability for what happened has like re-sparked me with that. And it's like, I'm not blaming it. I'm not saying it was a lucky shot. I'm not blaming anything on anybody else but me. And I'm taking accountability for it. And that's given me room to improve. I think a lot of people, they probably try and point fingers at coaches, or maybe try and point fingers at other people why something went wrong. I took accountability for myself. And I think that's why opportunities have arose for me the past 7 months. And I think that that's why I'm going to go on another run in my career, coming up here shortly.
I love the attitude, Aleko. Love it, man.
So you introduced us. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't know a very interesting person that's a friend in your life who came on our podcast and put on a show in Kobe. Have you and Kobe ever fought on a card before?
No, we've never fought on a card before. Never. And it's really crazy. Like his pro debut, my bounce back fight, we're on the same card in the Maverick Center, which is such a cool arena. And the Utah fans are literally the coolest people I've ever met, and like super crazy people. So like being able to compete in front of them with Kobe, like it's mind blowing. If you would have seen us, like we knew each other a little bit through high school, like through high school wrestling, we were from the same area, and through college wrestling, we started to know each other a little bit more. And I was done wrestling in college, and I was coaching a high school team, and he was still wrestling in college, but fighting at the same time. He took a short notice fight and like hit me up. He was like, hey man, I just took this fight. I need somebody to help me with training. And he showed up to the wrestling room the next day. And like, this was like a 100-year-old wrestling room with ceiling tiles falling on us. And I was showing him pads, and he was helping me with my wrestling. And like, ever since then, we've been really tight with each other, and like always had each other's back and stuff. And it's mind blowing how we're both out here on the same card for his pro debut and all that stuff. Like our stories will get told more as time goes on, but it's definitely a crazy story. And like the fact that we're both on the same card, Ohio's going to be going crazy that night. That's for sure.
Yeah. Ohio's going
You guys
crazy.
had a nice group coming out from Ohio too, right?
Come again.
You have a nice group coming out from Ohio too to watch you guys fight, right?
Yeah, I know. I've sold like 10 or 15 tickets, and I have a few people that are still like seeing if they can swing it. And I'm sure Kobe has his crowd that'll be there. And I know that all my friends that aren't there are going to be watching it on pay-per-view. So it'll be fun. It's going to be it's going to be a fun night. That's for sure. The whole card seems like it's pretty stacked too. So it should be a good event for everyone.
Stacked card. I'm excited to call the fight. We Zack and I get to call the fights. Right.
It's going to be crazy, man. There's a couple amateur fights too, right?
There's 3 amateur fights. Yep.
Okay. Nice. Yep. Nice. Heck
yeah. It'll be exciting, And one thing that's really fun about some of these amateur fights, let's see, 1, 2, I believe we have 3 debut amateur guys, and we have some pro debuter guys. Like it's gonna be a fun night. So we'll literally have on the same card 0-0 AMI guys, and then main eventing, Josh Wick and Kane Carrizosa. Kane, just coming out of the UFC. Wick has been on Bellator. The Mongolian Amerisano, coming from ONE FC, fighting Ben Eagley, who's one of the top 155 unsigned regional guys in the country. Like we get to see the whole spectrum of MMA on January 29th. It's going to be really exciting.
And it's how it should be done too, man. It's like you're giving the entry level guys their shot. They get to showcase their stuff early on. Then you got the veterans, or you got like the new coming pros and the veterans later on in the card, where people are going to be there to see them, and it's high level, and it's like you get a little bit of everything, and that sells itself. So it's definitely going to be a good night.
Absolutely.
So Aleko, how do you see the fight playing out on January 29th?
I'm going to run the same way as Kobe. I don't like giving exact predictions, but I'm going to walk out with my hand getting raised. I'm confident.
That's so weak, Aleko. That's
I'm getting
so
my
weak.
hand raised. I'm
Get
sorry. You guys just want to bet on it or something.
Get out of here.
Oh man, Aleko, do you have any sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
Yes, I do. Nimble Systems, Upgraded Industries, Majestic Countertops, Spaces Consignment Showroom, Killer Bees. She's actually sponsoring me for this fight, and then the Damage Plan podcast. Those guys are pretty cool too.
We're all right.
Dude, it's gonna be. We're excited. We're getting into this area though too, where it's getting harder and harder because like we get to know everybody, and then we like everybody, and then they fight each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's that part isn't fun. I will admit that.
It's hard. It's hard for me. It really is.
Part of the game though, I guess. And I mean, it does get weird, but obviously it's just a competition, so it's just part of the game. You guys are just stirring the pot with everyone.
No,
yeah.
Jason stirs the pot. Jason's the Ariel Helwani of the regional circuit.
Right. I can't even imagine.
That's Jason. He's always just stirring the pot.
Oh my gosh.
Cool, man. Well, we're excited
All right,
to be
Aleko.
here next weekend.
I can't wait. Thank
Yes,
you
sir.
guys so much. Utah, I'll see you guys next week. I can't wait to compete and perform in front of you guys.
January 29th. If you haven't got your tickets or the pay-per-view, www.fiercefightingchampionship.com. Click on fighter, support them, or that pay-per-view link. We'll see you guys January 29th. Thanks, Aleko.
Thank you guys.